Hello, and welcome to the North Coast Journal Preview, where we take a look at the stories being followed in the current edition of the North Coast Journal. I'm your host, Dave Frank, and we're joined this week by Thad Greatson, news editor, and Jennifer Fumiko Cahill, arts and features editor at the North Coast Journal. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
Dave.
Pretty good. It's good to be back. I had taken a couple weeks for travel, and I missed you guys a bunch. So I'm thankful you're able to hold things down without me, and that we're able to pick up on the flip side.
We eked by, but glad to have you back.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I would say we should just dive right in. And Thad, why don't you tell us what is on the cover of this week's North Coast Journal?
Yeah, so as I'm sure viewers, listeners are aware, this is Pride Month. And so this week we look at kind of the most interesting Pride event, in my mind anyway, that's coming up, which is the Pride March in Ferndale on June 25th. And a lot of the story really focuses on kind of the prologue to this event, why Pride initially came to Ferndale a couple years ago, why there's the need to have a Pride event there, and then kind of how it has grown and the external forces that have pushed the LGBTQ plus community to really focus efforts on Ferndale and making sure that is a big event and a show of presence and support.
You referenced external events. I think that might be a great place to start. The article is titled Unapologetically, which I believe you're referring to a city council meeting. But why don't you set the stage for us about those external events and kind of what led to this being such a big deal for this Pride event to take place this month?
Yeah, so I guess I'll go back a couple of years to start for the just real briefly to catch people up. The first Pride event was held in Ferndale as a protest after St. Mark's Lutheran Church in 2021 posted a sign on its marquee during Pride Month saying, "Hurt by LGBTQ culture, healing here." And I think for reasons that are fairly obvious, a lot of folks in those communities and outside of those communities found the sign hurtful and offensive. And so there was a couple of protest events, and then the decision was made kind of on the fly to have a protest march in Ferndale that June. So that was the first event that was held. And there was another one last year. And this issue at the time in 2021, there was some push for the city of Ferndale or the Ferndale City Council to take some sort of official action to pass a inclusion resolution or anti-hate resolution or something like that. And the council opted not to. The council passed a code of ethics, kind of vowing that the council itself would be inclusive and respectful of all people, but didn't go any further than that. And so this issue has been kind of bubbling in Ferndale for some time. And back in January, as we've talked about on the show, there was a Lost Coast Pride planned a fundraiser event that included an all-ages drag show. The pastor at St. Mark's, Tyrell Bramwell, once again posted a message many people found hurtful that was warning people to beware of this drag show. And that led to some at least perceived threats from the organizer toward the organizers, and they ended up canceling that event. Which led to a series of protests and renewed calls in Ferndale for the council to take some sort of official action, to pass a resolution, kind of a non-binding resolution. It's not a law. It's not outlawing anything. It's not enforceable, but kind of a profession of values from the council and the city about being inclusive, decrying hate and bigotry. And so over the course of a couple months, many people from the public came and urged the council during public comment to take this action. The mayor seemed really reticent to put this on the agenda in an official way, to have an official conversation about it. Another council member, Skip Jorgensen, actually penned a draft resolution that he brought to the council, but he couldn't find a second person to support it going on the agenda. And finally, in April, the mayor agendized his own statement not a discussion of a kindness resolution or an inclusion resolution or an anti-hate resolution, but his own statement in which he said he didn't think such resolution was warranted. And so I went to this meeting in, I think it was April 19th, and to cover it for the Ferndale Enterprise, which the Journal also owns. And the meeting hit me hard, and I walked away from it honestly somewhat shaken. To just kind of set the stage, after the mayor read his statement, there was some talk on the council about the two council members expressed the need for a real discussion of a possible resolution, and so they decided that would be set for a special meeting. And then the matter was opened up for public comment. And I think that a total of 14 people spoke, 5 in favor of such a resolution and 9 opposed. And it's hard to convey the feeling in the room, but the folks that were opposed on a number of fronts. Some of them just saying kind of they thought it was governmental overreach and that it was government responding to something that a church did, so potentially seen as infringing on the separation of church and state in the First Amendment. But a lot of the conversation was just really vitriolic and really hateful, honestly. So I mean, there was one woman who got up and said, hate is unpopular, but God wants us to hate. It's in the Bible that there's people we should hate, and these are immoral deviants and evil people, and we should, how dare you tell us not to hate them, basically. There was another man who spewed just like wild internet conspiracies about the sexualization of children through the Pride community, totally unfounded. I did a story some months back talking to law enforcement officials and prosecutors who say that they've never seen a case of somebody being groomed or abused in these kinds of settings or through these types of groups. But so he was spewing this. There's people from out of the area that came in. There's somebody who started kind of a fringe website who came to both promote his own website and then, decry drag shows in the Pride community. There's wild political talk of leftists and activist organizations. It was just kind of a buffet table of crazy kind of alt-right and hyper-religious stuff. And after each of these speakers who spoke opposing the resolution, there was this resounding applause from the audience. And what really hit me, especially as the meeting kept kind of going, and I could see that folks speaking who had come to support the idea of a resolution were getting kind of more and more upset, is just that the council did nothing. The mayor did nothing to kind of rein this in, to say that some of the language, some of the accusations, the applause was inappropriate. And I've covered lots and lots of council meetings and government meetings. It's not unusual for somebody to get emotional and say some things that they shouldn't or that are out of bounds. And in each of those instances, I've seen the council or the mayor or somebody rein them in and tell them that's not appropriate conduct for a government setting. It's not appropriate to applaud speakers during public comment. And that just never happened. And so, kind of wrapping up my summation here, that meeting wrapped, and then really hastily, 3 days later, the council called a special meeting with just like 2 days notice. It was held at like 3:00 on a Tuesday, and they reconvened. Nobody from the public who had supported passing such a resolution showed up to speak in favor of it. The council kind of very quickly discussed it. There was some public comment, and then Philip Osler, council member, moved that the council, quote, do nothing. That was approved with a 3-2 vote, and that's where things stand in Ferndale.
Pretty wild ride you just took us on, considering it's 2023. This is the reality of a community that's part of our community. So thank you for sharing that with us. You did. There's a line in the article where it said, what followed was ugly. So I'm hopeful that we can pivot from that reality to a complementary piece of reality, which is that there's a Pride event coming up, and that the response to hate is love, and there's going to be some love coming to town. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I had the chance to catch up with Kaylin Rivera, who is the co-founder of Lost Coast Pride and was the organizer of the first Pride event in Ferndale back in 2021, was also one of the organizers of the fundraiser that was canceled back in January, and is the primary organizer of the events next weekend. And so they're actually holding 2 days of events, Lost Coast Pride. On June 24th, they're doing a Pride Ride, so kind of a caravan of cars that's going to meet in the Arcata Safeway Shopping Center in Arcata at 11 a.m., and then caravan down to Ferndale and have a big picnic in Roner Park. And then on the following Sunday, on June 25th, they are going to convene at noon at the old steeple in Ferndale and march past St. Mark's Lutheran Church on Birding Street, wrap around. And they got permits this year, so they close off Main Street for the first time for this, and then march back down Main Street. Back to the old steeple, and then have a kind of celebration of queer joy, as he put it, on the at the Ferndale Community Center. So Caitlin was very clear in saying that this is kind of a two-part event. The march is a protest, is people standing up to be seen, to demand equal treatment, and then that will be followed by a celebration. One thing that I really want to emphasize, and that I thought was appropriate for Caitlin to point out, is he said, he recognizes that some folks do not feel comfortable protesting. They do not feel comfortable marching down the street with a sign. But Main Street is going to be closed off, and he urged anybody who supports the cause to come out, to stand on the side of the street, to be seen, to stand in solidarity, to bring a lawn chair, make an afternoon of it. But really wants, allies, people who want to support the cause, to show up and be seen in Ferndale.
This is fantastic. It reminds me of, my family, some of them live in Orlando, Florida, and in Florida, Pulse nightclub has been taken over as a public good, and the Pride events there have grown immensely because it's a way for the community to be allied against hate and ignorance, and I think that's a statement that's worth making. So thank you for spreading the story and getting the word out there that people can join and be part of the festivities.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you again. Jen, what is going on the Arts and Features beat?
Well, I would like to segue to the Seriously column that I have this week because it is directly related. I also reacted like a lot of people did after that harrowing meeting in Ferndale and thought to myself, how do you fumble a kindness resolution? Like totally. It started out anti-hate and inclusion, which feels like a gimme, but then it got lowered to kindness. And everybody was like, no, I reserve the right to be absolute garbage. And when you stop and think about it, the ultimate decision to make it so that the council will be kind and inclusive, will be fair, it's obviously not happening. Being inclusive doesn't just mean allowing people to enter your space. Being inclusive means making it safe for them and allowing people to say terrifying and cruel things about a marginalized group in a meeting with no rebuke and no censure, not censor, because you can say whatever you want in your house. The government's not coming to get you. To allow this kind of hateful behavior to happen in a public forum with no pushback is not inclusion. It is, in fact, making it known to people, making it known to queer people, you are not welcome here. We're not interested in protecting you. We are interested in maintaining a safe space for people to be bigots. And that's what happened. So I thought to myself, what is a parallel? And what I came up with was a public meeting organized by zoo animals. Not our zoo. Not our zoo, but a different zoo with like giraffes and stuff. And the measure that they're looking at, the resolution that they're considering is anti-feces throwing.
Oh my goodness.
We've all been to the zoo and seen a monkey get up in their monkey feelings and throw their feces.
They're really good at it.
No one likes it. And yet, yeah, because to me, this is sort of a parallel, right? You've decided we're going to let the people in this community absolutely screech and throw their feces around. And we're mainly letting it go because either we agree, either we are also monkeys who want to throw our feces around, or we are so afraid of getting hit in the crossfire that we are not willing to stand up for anyone, make our community appear a more pleasant place, a more welcoming place. And we're fine with letting people know that they're not welcome or safe in our community. So it is lighthearted, and it has more mentions of fecal matter than I think I ever thought I was going to write about. But here we are.
So this is your own like little animal farm that is so poignant in the parallels are thought provoking and hysterical. So I love it. I absolutely it's worth a read.
I think it's a really brilliant piece of writing, and I gotta say my favorite part is when I think it's the Penguin says that the anti-feces throwing resolution sounds negative and divisive, and so couldn't we just have a pro not throwing feces resolution?
So clever.
Which also gets divisive.
Yeah.
That little penguin is just trying to reach across the aisle, with his little flightless fin.
And there's a common thread through it that the capybara role, I think, kind of is like little ties it together in a way, like, so it's a little bit one of the things I think is really funny is the capybara gets proposed, not to ruin any of the details, but why don't you just go hide out all day and then no one will throw the feces at you?
These are suggestions that we've heard. We've gotten letters from people, we've gotten personal interactions where people are saying, why can't we just go back to how it was before when people were closeted? We still loved them, but they stayed in the closet. They didn't have these pride parades. They didn't, get married in public. They just lived their lives in a sort of a shadow world. Can't we do that again? That was awesome for everyone. And we've had other people like, I have had responses to like a call out to find queer-friendly businesses, and have gotten responses like, well, you're putting us all in a really bad position to have to say that our shop is queer-friendly because other people might be mad at us. And it's like, well, this is human rights though, right? Totally. So if you're not willing, then keep scrolling. But, I would think that the lowest range, the lowest bar for us to pass is to stand up for each other's human rights. To pop out the lawn chair and wave at the parade.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Jen. You triggered my memory that one thing Kalen said is that he has gone door to door on Main Street to ask businesses that are supportive and do want to stand in solidarity, do want to be welcoming, to fly a rainbow flag or rainbow insignia in their store window. And so folks who go down there for the event know what businesses are supportive and welcoming, and honestly, which ones aren't as well.
And you will find that the Enterprise offices / hometown store, which, the Journal and the Enterprise, the Journal owns the Enterprise, you'll see lots of lovely decor over there. Our publisher and the other staff at the Enterprise office have been going crazy and really enjoying decorating. So, give them some love when you stop by.
I think it's worth mentioning here, just to tie a ribbon on it, and because I just appreciate the complementary nature of these two articles. The giraffe, right? So the giraffe is like the equivalent of the city council member. And the
he actually says some of the same things. He actually uses some of the actual quotes from the meeting.
And the idea that there's, a neutral, a morally sustainable and valid neutral position. I think that's where the discussion really ought. Like that's the pressure point of the conversation. Thad, you said one of the things that was most disappointing to you was just how there was no attempt to say, like, you are quoting misinformation, hate speech, and you guys are, and this room is cheering misinformation, hate speech. We got to be careful about the things that we pass along in a public forum under the aegis of the community's government, because the government is us. That lack of leadership is sort of, the most disheartening piece of this. But I think anyway, to make light of it a little bit here, like I said, Jen, you made the giraffe supremely neutral. And thank you for sharing that you literally used quotes, because that comes through.
It is, yeah, using some of the same quotes that Mayor Katie used, because this is the world's first spineless giraffe.
Yeah, Thad, do you have any final? I know this is Jen's portion of the show here, but do you have any feedback on that last piece of just how the community sort of is let down by this type of behavior?
I mean, I just come back to, I guess, a famous quote from Howard Zinn: "You can't be neutral on a moving train." And like you said, I mean, there is no middle of the road here. You can quibble with people's choices and the way other people live their lives, but they have the freedom to make those choices, and you can't publicly impugn them for that, or publicly make it an unsafe space for them to be themselves.
Well, right on. Jen, how about you? Any last takeaways about the reality of the situation that we're turning to to spread the love, and that the community's actually, the Pride event is going to be there, and there's going to be a protest, and it's going to be an opportunity for people to express that they're allies and then supportive.
This is the time to stand up for your people, and I will see you all at Pride.
Right on.
Well, I'm just going to jump in here. My name is Matt Knight. I'm the producer of North Coast Journal Preview. And it's my sad duty to report that this is going to be Dave Frank's last show as the official host of North Coast Journal Preview. And we're going to miss him terribly. And I just wanted to go over just a teeny bit of history and give you some facts and about this show, which started off as a segment on the homepage on KHSU, and I'm not even sure when that happened, but it was quite a long time ago, because the KHSU, of course, has been gone for a while. And then it debuted as a segment on our news block on October 16th, 2019 was the first shows that we did, and they were audio only. We didn't actually, there was no picture connected to this for the first 4 shows, I think it was. And then on November 16th, 2019, we did our first in-studio shows with this genial Pendleton-clad, smooth-headed Dave Frank as our host. And it over the course of 17 in-studio shows and then 190 plus online shows. We went online on March 18th, 2020, as a result of the COVID pandemic. Dave has helmed the most of these shows, except for a handful here and there. I just want to say, first of all, I just want to express my appreciation for Dave, who is an extremely busy individual, to come on and do the show every Wednesday for all that time as a volunteer. He doesn't get paid for this. He's doing it for the glory or for the love of doing this show. And I just want to, express my appreciation for all of the shows that he's done, and wish him good luck in his future endeavors, which is probably having some time on Wednesday now. And he's not going far. He still will be on the Redwood Wonk Show, which he's done for a number of years as a co-host with Eric Kirk. So he's not leaving the fold entirely. But he has been just a force of nature and supportive of Access Humboldt, supportive of KCZH, both with his volunteer time, financially, and just just a wonderful presence on this show. And then then I just want to talk about the future of the show, and then just to mention that. Attentive viewers and listeners will have noticed that we've had a couple young ladies on the show, and the first one is Tanya Schrum, who will be taking over the show on a permanent basis in the fall. But in between then and now, Ruby Cayenne is going to be hosting the show throughout the rest of the summer. Ruby is a Cal Poly Humboldt student, a journalism student, and is also going to be editing Elenador next year. So she's going to take over for the next 2 months or so, and then Tanya will take over in the fall. But I just wanted to wind up by saying, Dave, thank you so much. I appreciate you more than words can express. Our get-togethers here on Wednesday, most people don't see us talking together before the show. We have a lot of laughs. It's a very collegial and genial and wonderful way to spend the Wednesdays. And I just want to thank you personally for doing what you've done, and just for being a friend, and for for being on North Coast Journal Preview.
Matt, thank you so much for the kind words. I can't believe we've done over 200 shows, Jen and Thad. That's amazing.
Wild.
Yeah, I would like to point out that when we used to go sit in the studio together and record, and Thad and I were like starting out and being like, yeah, it's getting more comfortable. These are like good practice rounds. And then we found out that they had been live the whole time. That was alarming. I think we were about 10 shows in when we realized, like, are you serious? These have been airing? We had no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really great to have somebody who was comfortable on air, and it's been tremendous to have you as our anchor, and your curiosity has been a wonderful source of energy for us, and thank you so much.
Yeah. I think it's been remarkable how you have navigated whatever we have thrown at you every week, which ranges from tragic to whimsical to zoo animals throwing feces, and you always take it in stride. But I also have to say, just on a personal note, that it it's just wonderful to show up to work with folks who come with a positive attitude every day, and are generally positive about life and positive about the work, and can say that, like, every day, every Wednesday, you roll up with a smile on your face, excited to do what we're doing. And that's just that's been fabulous, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you, guys. This is awesome. I know, like, that's cliche, but parting is truly such sweet sorrow. It was hard to make this decision, but the responsibilities have just kind of stacked up, and I can't add without taking things away. This is probably the hardest thing to take away, because I learn and benefit from the community of the four of us that have actually been doing this now for over 200 shows. It helps me learn more about the community, and you guys have both participated in other community media projects that I work on, so we've been mutually reinforcing, trying to be additive, and do that community dialogue, citizen journalism, solutions-based journalism. You reveal some element of what's going on, and I kind of run with it, and I appreciate you guys supporting my desire to do that. I was going to call it my madness, but it's not. It's a passion. It's a hobby. And Matt,
and Dave,
it.
And Dave, it's my sad duty to say one last time, it's time to wrap.
So be it. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Thad. I really appreciate you guys and loved the whole time. Thanks. Unfortunately, that's about all the time we have this week. North Coast Journal is available on newsstands now. Pick one up, stay informed. Also available online 24/7, so you can check them out anytime. Thad, Jen, we really appreciate you. Thanks for your contribution this week. It was a great conversation, and look forward to connecting with you guys down the road. Take it easy. Take care. Until next time. Bye, everyone.